GetCrack. Wake up, motherfucker.
Yo, what's up? Hey, Dalmatian. Gonna be quick late night stream, just about maybe 30 minutes. This is January 29th, 2026. At least my time. Eastern's already the 30th. Okay, so let's go. Let's get to it. Quickly just do some analysis here and then we'll be done. I'll read some few articles, I guess. Oh yeah. Not yet. Hold on. Let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah, let's look at Bitcoin and all the other shits. Okay. What I stream about? I just stream about stocks and shit. Gold, silver, oil, whatever comes across my desk here. Let's get to it. Okay. So last night I said I might short Bitcoin. Well, yeah, I did. So I used MSTR. Let me put some background music. Let me go. So let's see. Is this the beginning of the end for Bitcoin? Will we just crash right through? I don't know. I don't know yet. So far, I have to see how the NASDAQ does tomorrow. But maybe tomorrow won't be anything interesting. It'll have to wait till next week. Then we can figure it out. Okay. But in any case, I have to get ready. Have to get ready and figure out what crap to buy in the coming months. If the market wants to die, if everything wants to die right now, right here. Okay, let's get this going on. Let's get the golden eye going. Yeah. All right. So right at open, MSTR, which I use to short Bitcoin. I just short this stock because this thing will drop a hell of a lot harder than Bitcoin. It will. It went to 155. Then right there, right all the way within 1 hour. So I just did a quick day trade on this guy and I got out. Okay, now if it's true and Bitcoin is done, it's toast, we're gonna take a bigger dump. Then next stop for MSTR is 108. So will I get back into this short tomorrow? No idea. Really no idea. I don't like the weekends, you know. But if you short Bitcoin directly, I guess you could play the weekend because you'll have to wait till Sunday though. Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, futures will reopen, and maybe Monday we'll have something. Usually something happens over the weekends on news, like Trump will say something, government shut down or some BS. I don't know. And the NASDAQ will crap out on Sunday. So the thing with Bitcoin is you have to understand Bitcoin is highly tied with the stock market now. There's no denying it anymore. Let me prove that to you somehow. Let's see. Okay, let me get the Bitcoin chart. Let's get the Bitcoin chart right back up here. So let's see. What's a good example? Good example. Is this week a good example? So Friday into Sunday. Let's see, Sunday. When does the dang market even open? Right here? Nah, it doesn't open then. I guess it's close enough. I mean, I don't know, 1600 GMT, so Greenwich Mean Time. I don't know. I don't know if that's the open on the futures, but you can see usually like on the weekends it doesn't do anything. Like most of the time, like it's all noise in the weekend. Back in the day, Bitcoin used to be interesting in the weekend, right? You could trade it in the weekend, but now it's just like noise and bots trading it. It's just crap. It's meaningless. And then once the future opens on Sundays, that's when you just start seeing like big movements happen, like here on the Sunday, right? So let me see what the stock market was doing, the futures. So let's see, blah 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 blah. Sunday, 2300 GMT. Okay, that was this Sunday. Why was it going down then? Man, I don't know. But usually sometimes it follows the market, sometimes it doesn't. So like this was going into it, right? I guess. And the futures open and it starts going back up. So it starts following the NASDAQ. So yeah, you can see like there's usually like Sunday morning there'll be something happening in Bitcoin, which is garbage. Like, so the first move in Sunday morning is like let's say Eastern time, right? This is about 9:30 Eastern and on a Sunday. So when you're going to church or some shit. And this is garbage. This move is just trash, I think. This is where they do a fake out. And then when the futures open, you see it starts following the NASDAQ again and the S&P futures. So for the most part, it follows. And then you could tell here, like overnight, there's very little thing. The other reason too is because China gets out. Because the Chinese don't trade the cryptos no more. So that's another reason why it follows the US time zones more. But it's really because all the ETFs they made for Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's all sucked in there. So whenever the market opens, the ETFs start controlling everything. So it's all BlackRock stuff. It's really nothing. Solo try to survive the winter. Yeah, I don't know, Dalmatian. What can you do? I bought half a Bitcoin when it was around 1K. Spent it on illegal stuff. Yeah, those were the early days. You remember what's that? The Silk Road. Yeah. So the Silk Road guy got caught in San Francisco. He was in a public library. It's like one of the public libraries I used to go to when I was a kid too. And then some agent came in there with a USB stick. The guy went off to the restroom, left his last laptop on the desk, and the agent came in and just stuck a USB stick in there, just downloaded all his fucking data. Anyway, that's how he got caught. That's one of the other reason was because he hired hitmen to try to kill people on the internet for some reason. He had some beef with people. I don't know. That was another reason he got caught too. Crack, what basic portfolio do you recommend if I'm betting on Trump pump this year? Okay, so the thing is, we have to figure out if we're gonna pump into next week, and we're gonna get S&P's gonna set up. Like, is it just gonna crash right now? Because I'm just seeing stuff that doesn't look right. Okay, because the only thing happened afternoon, Apple reported flat. They had a lot of good iPhone sales, but nobody cared about Apple. They were just like, whatever, good job, Apple, but we don't know if you're gonna make more money like this year. So they didn't buy. It didn't go down, didn't go up, nothing. Western Digital flat. Okay, so it got pumped by Seagate on Monday, but after that, nothing. Only thing went up on earnings after the close was SanDisk. SanDisk, its up was like 14 to 16% after market. Will it stay that way on the open? I don't know. It might crap out on the open if everything is looking how it is. Because if you look at NASDAQ futures right now, this is what happened, right? It opened today, and Microsoft just dragged everything down. Facebook, Meta, Instagram, nothing. Didn't help at all. The NASDAQ just went straight down. And I think the reason was because of this earnings here. CLS. So CLS does a lot of AI infrastructure, kind of like Infinol with the optical cables. CLS does other equipment. Its earnings, I guess, was not good. Like they didn't like the way it was projecting, the way it was growing this year. So it just ate shit. It was down like 15% at one point before kind of recovering a little bit. So that's not good. That's not good. If we don't have enough juice to propel, then if you look at the NASDAQ, QQQ, you see, it dropped right to the yellow box before it bounced and recovered. Okay, this is a pretty steep drop. Not bad, it recovered. So there's still chance. At least it went back above the box. But I don't know, Apple's not going to help tomorrow, I guess. And it's only SanDisk. Is that enough? SanDisk might just pop and then drop tomorrow. So That's a problem. The only two other earnings tomorrow will be Chevron and Exxon. I'm going to look at those two, but no more tech companies, right, until next week. And then speaking of tech companies reporting on Monday afternoon, Palantir that I shorted yesterday continued to drop, and I sold it all. So, I mean, I covered. So I'm not shorting it no more. I said last night if it hit 148, I'm out. I got out. So what does this mean? What does it mean? Am I going to reshort it on Monday? Am I going to reshort it tomorrow? No, I probably will wait after the earnings. So if it pops on earnings, and then let's say it gets back to 160, and then during the day it starts rolling over back to 150, like I just notice it rolling over, short it again. That's it. This is over for Palantir then. We're done. Unless like on Monday afternoon, after hours, it can go up to like 180, and then the next day it just stays above 160. Okay, forget it. Can't short it no more. Wait for the end of next week. So next week will be the first week of February. So this will be the first trading week that will have a lot of the other earnings like AMD, Google, Amazon. Those three, you have to watch those three. And some other semiconductors and software company, I guess. I don't know. But we're done. We'll be done with like most of the earnings next week. Okay? By pump, I mean runs a permissive. That will be May, dude. So you're going to have to wait for May, man. Between now and May is a lot of stuff, right? You got tax season. You got noise from who knows what politics in Japan, because Japan has elections, which will matter to us. So it's like, fuck this shit. So we can't even like figure those things out first. So there's a lot of days between now and May. Forget it. You're just trying to guess everything. If the earnings does well, however, and we shoot up right away to 7,000, okay, then I'll short again, and then wait for May, right? I'll wait for May then. But if we just drop right now, okay, lights out. We're gonna just really collapse, because what you see is, let's see if I got enough time here. How much time did I spend on this? Yeah, 15 minutes. Okay, you see, gold and silver looks like it's gonna top. So this is gold miners. So look at silver right now. I mean gold right now, and silver right now. I think they're down 3% each. Looks like a top, man. Yeah, it looks like a top here. Okay, this might be a top for now. This is pretty significant. So we might take a break on gold and silver if it crashes below 5,000 on gold. Let's see what silver's doing. Okay, yes, it's starting to roll over. Okay, let's say it goes down below 100. I'll have to take notice. I'll play a video. This is like down 4-something%. Okay, is that full pal? Yeah, he's gonna get kicked out in May, but it's May. He has 2 more meetings. He'll talk again in late February, early March, and then one more time in April. April will be his last time talking. So there's only 2 times he'll talk again, and that's it. He's gone. Rick Reeder is the lead, I think, on the betting markets. The betting market says Rick Reeder, the CIO of BlackRock. So he'll be the guy that will be taking over. So BlackRock is taking control of the government even further. That's it. BlackRock is your boy. Anyway, I think that's it. That's all I got to talk about, right? What else? I mean, I don't know if I'm going to short anything besides that. I'm just waiting to see if I want to short Bitcoin through MSTR again. I'll keep shorting this, but I want to wait. I want to wait if it can recover. If this thing can get back up to 151 and then start rolling back over, I'll short it again here. But I think it's too risky to be shorting before the weekend. I mean, right now Bitcoin is down 2% overnight. So yeah, this thing better recover on the open. I don't know. Maybe this thing will just really go red when it opens, because Apple didn't do anything. So what does that mean? I can't tell. I can't tell what's gonna do. Let's see. Apple right now has been a pretty weak stock since December, yeah, and it has to roll over to 235, but semiconductors itself, the SOXX ETF is still strong. Look at it. Look at it. So in the middle of the day, yeah, it just recovered really strongly. So what can I do with this thing? SanDisk was going to be up tomorrow, I guess. So it's all up to Apple. No clue. It's hard to tell, man. Something's going to break. I don't know which one will break first. Will it be silver, gold will break first, then tech, or tech breaks first, then silver, then gold? Uranium right now did a UwU. So I was talking uranium last night, right? It just crapped out again too. So this is a uranium stock down 10%. Let me look at the uranium miners. Let's see how badly yeah, it got hit pretty hard. That's a pretty nasty hit. Let's see, what is platinum? Platinum probably got pretty banged up. Yeah, 5%. It still can't make it back up here from Monday. Oh, this is not good. Not good. Not good. Yeah, I'm seeing signs. I'm definitely seeing signs. Okay, guys. Yeah. Okay, let me play the video and we can wrap it up. So that's all I'm going to talk about. I'll have to decide if I want to short gold, silver sometime soon. But Palantir and MicroStrategies, those are the two stocks to short. Because Palantir, just the chart looks like ass, and MicroStrategies, like, woo, Bitcoin is, I don't know what's wrong with it, man. It's like, yeah, it looks like it wants to go down. It really doesn't want to recover. That's a bad sign. See, Chinese yuan, nothing here. Japanese bonds, I don't know. I don't see anything wrong right now. Nothing crazy. So I don't know. Okay, yeah, nothing. Oh, Royal Caribbean. I'll talk about. There's a good stock is the cruise line stocks. You know, those stocks did really well after all the COVID noise. So after everybody went out, after all the boomers were free to go back on cruise ships, they've been doing pretty good. So Royal Caribbean is one of them. Okay, so since 2022, look at this. You could have got Royal Caribbean RCL around 35, 45 bucks. It's at 300 something, right? It got up to about 340, and we're right back at 340. If all the boomers keep going back here, when we got earnings up 18%, Royal Caribbean is probably one of the best. There's other ones like Carnival and all that, but no, Royal Caribbean is the better one. Okay, Carnival is just a bunch of ghetto fucks. Like, you just go on TikTok, you can find all the fight videos with all the people fighting on those. Like, didn't Ice Poseidon get on a Carnival ship? So yeah, there's all a bunch of fighting in there. Royal Caribbean is for more like a little bit higher class clientele. So if you want to invest on a boomer cruise line, RCL probably pretty good. So something you should watch on your list. You were mentioning copper yesterday. Yeah, all of them are tied together, all the materials. Okay, so that's something to mention. IBM I talked about yesterday a little bit. So those two type of stocks maybe you want to keep on your list, watch list. Anything else with the earnings? No. AT&T is doing good still, so that's fine. I'll talk about AT&T some other time. It's one of the stocks that is doing pretty good. They weren't doing very well up until a certain point, but they've turned around, so I think they're finding their way. And we'll talk about defense companies later. I did see the steel stocks recover, so that's good, because these guys reported on Monday and they went down, but today they recovered, so I'll have to pay attention to that too. But yeah, look at oil stocks, Chevron, CVX, and so that's the symbol, CVX, and Exxon, XOM, okay? Those will report tomorrow, so watch how those do. Okay, we're done with that. Quick. Let's play video. Okay. So Samantha LeDuc will talk about silver. Are we at the top?
This short clip is from my live trading room. You can engage directly with my fabulous team and me at leduketrading.com for all our research and trades. Or for just my daily live streams, you can access via YouTube memberships. All links are in the description. The metals market is freaking out. Yes, gold, now copper's getting, lit. Druckenmiller using the old Soros playbook. When I see a bubble, I rush in to buy more. So that's what they're doing. Also, Soros is the master of bubbles and reflexology, and bubbles always revert with velocity. I did a write-up. Gold and silver, right? Bottoms are a process, but tops are an event. This is definitely a parabola that traps longs and triggers volatility and liquidation events. Now, right now it doesn't seem like it, but I did warn, big picture, this post that I did in December, I think it was, reminded of my 2026 price targets for gold and silver. And that was big picture, right? Not just the short duration ones, but 6,000 gold and 150 silver. As you know, both of those are fast approaching. So we got, depending on the market, 120, 130 for silver. Gold is pushing 5,600. So we're getting very close to those efforts right now. And it is a mega gold and silver bubble. Don't kid yourself. Now, I know that this is also something that I gave you in February as a warning. In other words, I believe that metal volatility would be coming in for February, and I talk about that as well. I also said down the line that oil will get picked up. Down the line, copper is a double. All this stuff is now looking very chaseable. I'm talking copper's already been up in play for the miners, but not the underlying. It pushed into $6, which was my bet from 2023, and now it is fast approaching a chase because metal squeeze players are looking for the next safe bet. And substitution market, as well as just supply deficit market, leads us right into copper. So anyway, this particular post was about this air pocket that's building also in the options market, especially for silver. And I want to warn that you need oxygen to fuel this fire. And as soon as some of it is tapered off, the fire dims, right? And then eventually is put out. And that's the parabola I'm talking about breaking. So anyway, we had just hit this 4,800 for gold and XAU USD and 98 for silver. These were levels I gave in June and they hit, and now we are fully above that, right? I mean, it was already a parabola and now it's just a parabola on fire. I also gave you Jeffrey's warning that the silver supply deficit for solar is absolutely overdone. The cure for high prices is in fact high prices, and he gave a perfect example of that with long guy dumping silver for copper. And again, at $25 USD, you have a silver deficit. At 100, you don't. So that's Jeffrey's quote. I'm just basically reminding that this is a lot of FOMO. I also talked about how this is Asia for sure. JGBs are to gold as CNY is to silver, and we have tracked that fractal perfectly. And it really took off in September. And this is also the time frame where the new Japanese PM came in and really ignited this major parabolic wave. Now there will be a snap election. Remember, on February 8th, I said this is the month I expect a lot of turbulence for the metals because we also have the Lunar China New Year and trading will be halted. So I wanted to update you on all of this stuff because it looks outdated, doesn't it? All the same reasons are perfectly there, not to mention Jeffrey's continued very strong position that this is a typical external drain, what's going on. In other words, the origins, they do not match the prior bubbles. This is all about foreign countries trying to really pick this up, but they're no longer wanting US dollars. They don't want US treasuries. They don't want the petrodollar. They don't want to buy our oil. So instead they buy all sorts of commodities in high demand. And wouldn't you know, we definitely have a situation where this FOMO has picked up tremendously, and I'll show you a little bit more of what that looks like. First of all, these are the countries that are no longer holding U.S. treasuries in great numbers. In fact, they have been the biggest sellers in the last 12 months, led by China, then Belgium, India, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Indonesia, Denmark, Turkey. This is what's going on. They are settling trade outside of the dollar and treasuries and petro oil into gold. So it picked up really, really quickly with the new Japanese PM. And I also made an argument that that whole yen carry trade unwind isn't the same as it used to be. It really is different this time because they're not selling NDX to go into dollars, to go into yen. They're just going directly from yen to gold. So we got a whole bunch of reasons why this is a trend, and the FOMO and mania follow and reinforce the trend. But long story short, this is an external drain. Here's where we're at with this whole silver mania. This is a few days old, and obviously it's very hard to keep up with pricing, but you get the idea, right? In a nutshell, commodities, a 1 year percent change is obviously not even representative of what we have going on for January, but massive outperformance, 300% minimum in silver. We've got platinum, we've got gold, and then aluminum. Down here, not so much in soft commodities, and definitely not in oil products. But this is what happens when you get a gold rush, silver rush type of effect, right? So here is your gold, your silver. You can see we have a very continued bullish backdrop, and it's feeding over into the next lever. Lever is copper. So copper is also screaming higher. We know about platinum and palladium. Crude is also starting to get a little bit of a nod. And I mentioned already that 55 to 65, basically 65 for WTI. And so you can see that we have this resurgence. Some of this is of the storm, nat gas, obviously from storm, maybe another one coming in. But the point is we have this inflationary effect that is spilling over. We already know about aluminum. That was a strong one already. Anyway, the point is we can already see we've got a lot of excitement here with metals, and they follow all together. So moving on, SLV, that's the paper market, right? So I had a client, George, sent me these, and I think it's just kind of helpful to frame. Actually, underneath the surface, the flows have been leaving. So the actual ETF fund flows, I'm not talking about the options market and all that jazz, but we do have underneath some sellers into this parabola. We also have an options market that is lit. So this is the gold shares back in October. Remember I warned in October, we were going to have in September that we would have some October volatility. And this is what happened right here. Well, this is where we are right now with the gold shares and the IV that exploded and then came back down. And we're in this explosive kind of phase. It's very, very instructive. Let's just put it that way. Here is for silver. We've had this October and it came back down, and here we are now. So massive IV for both put and calls, but they have strongly accelerated. And the result of that is a skew that is very, very obviously an outlier. So skew is very likely to revert. That will create also some volatility in the metals market. Just you can see it's normally kind of passive up here, but it is in a standard deviation outlier. So for those who are familiar with skew, you know that that looks out of place and it typically will revert higher. This is right now, same idea. We've got implied volatility is way higher than anything we've ever had in silver. So if you kind of go back to this 2008, 2009, and we've had spikes, COVID and the like, never, ever, ever have we had this historic high IV. That very well could start to interrupt the silver market, especially paper. Another client sent this to me. SLV is moving into close only options contract. That's a warning. But then we also have weekly volume that's coming into SLV that is more than 80 billion, which is what it does in a year. So anyway, it's not about flows, demand of silver, all that kind of stuff from China. China, by the way, has some halts that are going on over there. The rumors that they're going into the silver SLV stash to meet demands. What does that mean for redemptions, et cetera, et cetera? You can see that we've got some outliers of size. Silver's rally fueled by China buying and supply tightness, but then you also see China's only pure play silver fund was halted after a frenzied wave of investment drove its premium significantly above its value of underlying assets. This is where I warned it becomes very dangerous in a parabola. Just do with it as you please. But I'm trying to give you a little bit of perspective here that there is some supply shock. There's no question. This is an AI write up, but it also gave me this idea. Okay, what's happening with open interest? Well, you can see it's actually falling, and the registered stock inventory is falling, and the coverage ratio is exploding. And we basically have massive delivery demands. And the first notice was likely, according to AI, February 27th. I'm wondering if it is, again, another critical month, I think, ahead is February, but I think it's going to be pulled forward. Lots of folks are talking about the actual inventory. In other words, this is my writing. Silver price is exploding higher as confidence, this is the key line I want you to get, as confidence in future delivery is imploding. This is a really important concept. And then physical delivery is eroding. This is what happened in September. Basically, when the new Japanese PM came into play and started talking tough about Taiwan and protection, and they're also isolationists like Trump. So basically, China picked it up big notch. And the silver price started moving higher, but the confidence in future delivery started falling as the physical delivery also started, inventory started falling. It's all related. So now we have CME raising margins on silver from 9% to 11%. That was just announced a few days ago. So they're trying to interrupt. You've got massive, let's say, realistic numbers here in volatility and flow, all for good macro reasons, which is why they're exploding. And next is copper, and maybe even oil gets a bid. But here's the problem. It's a big problem. This is what happens. And I found this and I overlaid on this chart. Gold is up 28% in January alone. Best month in 46 years. Major geopolitical events have always followed. So whether it's Iran, whether it's Taiwan, whether it's, I don't know, but this is, again, statistic. It's very unnerving, I believe, for many who understand that this is a classical drain where other countries are saying, we don't want to do business with the US. It's a danger to hoard your US dollars and or do business with you and or backstop your exploding fiscal deficits by buying your treasuries. And we don't want your oil. We're going to get it elsewhere. So it is a test here. I know Trump wants a lower dollar. It's been it's been my soapbox since the beginning. I started writing about it in December before he was even in office. So we do have that. We have falling dollar. This exploding inflationary metals asset appreciation is for the reasons of external drain, falling global demand for dollars, and everybody gave me such a hard time about that. But it is here. So
All right. Well, there we are. We are at the end, folks. Get ready for something to happen. I don't know when, but we're pretty close to it. All right. I'll end it here. The articles are linked in the description, but I kind of went over the CLS stuff and whatever. I didn't get to the thing where Elon is going to try to merge SpaceX with Twitter, okay, X and XAI. So there's something going on there too. So I think Elon is trying to take back control of his companies by merging them all together or something and get full control of the shares so that he can have control. You have to remember, like, he got kicked out of his chairman position off of Twitter and all that stuff, and Tesla, I think. So there you go. We'll see you tomorrow when the fun starts happening, or not. Maybe I'll just see you on Monday. All right.